The contract said no real feelings. But my mafia fake boyfriend just declared war on another family. Because they looked at me, that thought wouldn't leave my head. It echoed over the sound of the V12 engine, roaring through the dark streets of Boston. I wasn't his lover. I wasn't even his real partner. I was a business deal, debt repayment wrapped in a designer suit. And now, apparently, the reason for an international war. Matteo's voice broke the silence. You look pale, amore, he said, calm as ever, even after that high-speed escape from the Rizzoli compound. He looked perfect. Always did. Black silk shirt, dark hair slicked back, eyes the color of old whiskey. Dangerous, steady, unreadable. Only his knuckles, tight on the wheel, betrayed the storm under the surface. Amore. It used to sound like an act. Now it sounded like a warning. I'm pale, I shot back. Because you just told the head of the Rizzoli family that you'll burn their entire operation to ash. Because their youngest son looked at me. That's not in the contract, Matteo. That's insanity. He said nothing as he drove into the underground garage beneath his penthouse. The silence there felt heavier than the concrete around us. When he turned off the engine, the world went still, except for the ringing in my ears. Then he looked at me, not like a partner, not like an equal. He looked like a man who had already made up his mind. The contract is null and void, Leo, he said quietly. I blinked. What? The moment anyone outside our operation threatens what belongs to me, the contract ceases to matter. He leaned closer. I could smell his cologne, and beneath it the faint bite of gunpowder. You are mine, for the duration, and what is mine is protected, no matter what the fine print says. I pressed back against the door. I am not yours. I'm the asset you needed to make peace with the old families. I'm the public face, the one you take to galas. Clause 3, subsection B, strictly non-physical and purely political. You remember that part? Or did rage make you forget how to read? Matteo's smile was slow, dangerous. I remember, Leo. I wrote it. He reached out, his thumb brushing my cheek. A touch that wasn't soft, but possessive. But tonight, I discovered something. The idea of Marco Rizzoli looking at you like that, with anything other than fear, made me lose control. I froze. That wasn't a confession. It was a warning. Started 6 months ago, not with love, but with desperation. My family was drowning in debt. Matteo Volkov, ruthless, brilliant, and too young to be that powerful, offered a deal. I would be his public partner for a year. He would erase every debt tied to my name. It was a perfect exchange. No emotions. No intimacy. No danger. Until tonight. The Rizzolis were old school. Proud. Dangerous. Tonight's dinner was meant to be a fragile peace between them and Matteo. He played his part flawlessly. Polite smiles, quiet threats, every word calculated. I played mine, silent, elegant, untouchable. Then there was Marco Rizzoli. He watched me all night. Not curiosity, not respect, ownership. His gaze lingered on my face, my clothes, my posture. Then he looked at Matteo, daring him to react. And Matteo noticed, when Marco raised his glass and said, "To mutual prosperity, and the beautiful things we acquire along the way." The room froze. Everyone laughed politely. Everyone but Matteo. He stood up, slowly, controlled. The kind of silence that happens before something terrible. "My apologies, signore," Matteo said to Marco's father. "It seems there's been a miscalculation tonight." His hand slid onto the back of my neck. Firm, possessive. The pulse under my skin jumped. "Your son," Matteo continued, "believes the man standing behind me is an object, a prize. He's mistaken." He looked directly at the father, not at Marco. "Leo is my anchor, my trust, my absolute priority." Then his gaze shifted, finally landing on Marco. "And when a man covets what I claim, what I protect, I don't kill the man. I destroy his house. I erase his line." The room went silent. Matteo's hand tightened slightly on my neck. And then he turned, dragging me out through the chaos. That was how the war started. Back in the underground garage, I finally ripped my arm free. "Are you insane?" I shouted. "You just declared war over a look. You've destroyed everything you built for a stupid, possessive." "Leo," he cut in, quiet, controlled. "It had everything to do with you." I almost laughed. "What? You suddenly care about feelings?" He chuckled, a cold, humorless sound. Then he reached out, his thumb brushing the red mark on my neck from the seatbelt. "No." I realized I lied when I wrote Clause 3, subsection B. That wasn't to protect you from me. It was to protect me from you. My heart stuttered. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying a fake boyfriend can be replaced," he whispered. "A political pawn can be upgraded. But when I saw Marco Rizzoli look at you, I didn't think about business. I thought about killing him, and everyone who shares his bloodline." He leaned in until I could feel his breath on my skin. "That's not business, Leo. That's mine." My mind was chaos, fear, disbelief, something darker. The contract that kept me safe was gone. The man in front of me wasn't a partner anymore. He was a storm, and I was the eye of it. "So what happens now?" I asked, barely breathing. Matteo smiled. It was soft, terrifying. He pulled something from his pocket, a small velvet box. Inside, not a ring, but a brass key. "Now," he said, closing it in his palm, "we stop pretending. No more rules. No more contracts. The Rizzolis challenged me. They think you're replaceable. I'll show them how wrong they are." He tucked the key away, grabbed the back of my head, and kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was a claim, fierce, desperate, final. When he pulled back, his voice dropped to a whisper. "The war has begun. But it's not about territory anymore, Leon. It's about you. That key? It's to the panic room. From now on, your safety is my only business." He took my hand, not tenderly, but like a jailer leading a prisoner. "Welcome to the new arrangement. No contract, just truth." As we stepped into the elevator, I realized something. I wasn't the political pawn anymore. I was the obsession, and the world was about to burn for it. I was moved immediately into the heavily guarded penthouse. The view was endless, glass walls, gold accents, and shadows that never left. To anyone else, it was luxury. To me, it was a cage. My movements were restricted. My old life dissolved overnight. No friends, no phone, no trace of Leo the civilian. Only Leo the possession. Below us, war burned through the streets. The Rizzolis, realizing the depth of Matteo's fury, struck back hard, ruthless and desperate. They crippled one of Volkov's major shipping lines within days. And I became his shadow. I sat in on war councils, surrounded by men who spoke of death like numbers. Matteo led them with an icy calm that was almost beautiful. Sometimes, his hand would brush my shoulder, a fleeting reminder that I was there, that I mattered. Other times, his grip would tighten around my wrist, quick, commanding, territorial. He never said it aloud, but every gesture screamed it. "You're mine to protect, mine to use, mine to keep." The Rizzolis didn't take long to strike back. A week later, they came for me directly. It was a clean setup, a fake message about retrieving personal documents. I should have known better, but I went. The attack was brutal, close quarters, silent, efficient. And when Matteo found out, he didn't send his men. He came himself. His rage wasn't a sound, it was a force. I remember the echo of gunfire, the sharp scent of blood, and his voice low, furious, cutting through it all. When it was over, I was shaking. He dragged me back through the wreckage, his eyes burning with a terrifying mix of fear and possession. He pushed me into the panic room, turned the brass key with a brutal click, and said, "Look around, Leo. This is your world now. Safe. Sealed. You will never leave my sight again." His voice cracked on that last word. Again. And I realized then, this wasn't love. It wasn't protection. It was control wrapped in devotion. The hours in that steel room stretched like eternity. Terror gave way to something colder, understanding. Mateo might have been terrifying, but he was loyal, frighteningly, utterly loyal to what he claimed. When he finally opened the door, I didn't see a monster. I saw a man who had already decided he'd burn the world to keep me breathing. Maps covered the table. Lines, routes, names, all marked in red. As I looked over his plans, I saw it. A flaw. A single blind spot. They own someone in city council, I said quietly, pointing. They'll expect you to hit the docks. Not the politics. Hit the contact instead. Mateo looked up, and for the first time since this all began, he didn't look at me like a possession. He looked at me like a strategist. An equal. His lips twitched, not quite a smile. Noted. And that's how it started, the shift. I wasn't just the obsession anymore. I was becoming his weapon. The plan worked. Mateo crippled the Rizzolis financially within 48 hours. But desperation breeds madness. Marco Rizzoli sent one final message. Encrypted. Simple. Trade. The city for the trophy. Meet me at the old mill. Dawn. Mateo knew it was a trap. But he also knew what Marco really wanted. Me. He went alone. I waited in the penthouse, staring at the clock. The security feed flickered, then died. And for the first time since this began, I felt something close to grief. When I opened my eyes again, everything had changed. I woke to darkness, dust, cold metal biting into my wrists. A red digital clock blinked in front of me. 30:00. Marco's voice echoed from a speaker above my head. Hello, Leo. Your protector's on his way. But he has a choice to make. Finish my line, or save his little trophy. I didn't scream, didn't cry. That Leo, the one who panicked, was gone. This Leo calculated. If Mateo was truly obsessed, he'd come. If not, I'd die knowing the contract had finally ended. The timer fell below 20 minutes. Silence pressed in from all sides. The air was thick with dust, fear, inevitability. Then the world exploded. Gunfire, screaming metal, and then light. The door tore open, ripped off its hinges. Mateo stood there, a silhouette in the dawn. Two men fell beside him, bullets still echoing in their chests. He didn't look at me. He looked at the timer. 2:14. He was at my side in seconds, hands working frantically over the device. No orders, no composure, just panic and violence. Wires snapped under his fingers. Then the clock went dark. 00 never came. Mateo slumped back, his chest heaving, sweat streaking his temple. He didn't speak for a long time. When he finally did, his voice was raw. You weren't scared. My heart was still racing, but my voice was calm. I knew you'd choose me. He looked at me then, really looked, and I saw it. Satisfaction, dark and triumphant. He hadn't saved me to prove love. He'd done it to prove ownership. He had chosen me over the empire, and that truth was more terrifying than death. The Rizzolis fell soon after. Mateo's revenge was absolute. Weeks later, the city glittered below us, silent and conquered. I wasn't wearing my usual tailored suits anymore. Just one of Mateo's silk shirts, oversized, soft, and too comfortable for captivity. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed me one. Marco is gone. His line is finished, he said quietly. The contract doesn't matter anymore. The city is mine. But it was always about you. He paused, the faintest smile tugging at his mouth. There are no contracts now, Amore. Just me. And you. And everyone out there knows who you belong to. I sipped slowly, eyes meeting his. He didn't need to apologize. There was no point. My gaze drifted to the antique brass key on the table, the one that once locked me inside that panic room. I realized I didn't need it anymore. I smiled slow, calm, knowing. I wasn't Leo the pawn. I wasn't even Leo the prisoner. I was Leo, the obsession of a kingpin, the most protected, most dangerous man in the city. My survival was absolute. My imprisonment, complete.